Alright, so I figure why don't, yeah, we start talking about my feelings about the game, because this is a game that's going to have a lot of opinions about it, and a lot of those opinions are going to be negative, and I will entirely understand. However, I personally like the game quite a bit. So, major problems. Performance issues, they're working on those. Hopefully those will get better. The whole pay-to-win debate. It's a free-to-play game. It's gonna have pay-to-win components in it. Since the only multiplayer component is like a one-on-one arena thing that isn't really part of the game. I mean, it's something you can definitely do, but it's definitely not like a focus or anything like that. You know, I'm not too up in arms about that. There were issues, like, for example, supposedly the most overpowered class in the game. There's one class that's only unlockable through loot boxes. You know, they're called, like, something packs or whatever, but they're loot boxes. You can't even get cards in them, which is a little bit weird. Or you can, but it's only a small chance, and there's like 1 of 3 cards, or something like that. You don't get cards in them often if you do get cards, for sure. But, oh yeah, we should be fighting in here. I was just not paying attention and just fighting stuff. So, so yeah, there is definitely a component where they want you to pay for stuff. But my question always is, even, you know, if they have some of this stuff that isn't ideal, can you have fun playing free-to-play and progress and whatever? Absolutely. That is not an issue in my opinion. I think the free-to-play experience is just fine. There's a good amount of content. I personally find the game fun, which we'll get into specifically what I think in a moment here. But I enjoy the game. I think even not paying for anything, you're in good shape, you know. Now, that being said, you have to get past the first, depending on how you look at it, 3 to maybe even like 10 hours, because there's just so much tutorialization. The beginning with Raoul is just terrible. Once you unlock, you know, kind of the first area more, so it's better, but it's still problematic. You can't group up with, although they are changing that. Initially you couldn't group up with people at all, but they are changing that, at least, that after an earlier point now you can group up with people, which is a positive change. But yeah, getting past that first part, that tutorial where you don't have any like deck building choices, you only have like 1 or 2 slots initially, and then you get cards very slowly. It's a while before you actually have all 4 slots available. And they said like they don't want to like confuse people or whatever, and I'm like, I don't think it's that confusing. I think it's boring that you can't really do anything. So you have to get past that initial playtime to actually get to the point that you even have a decision to make about building your deck. It's hard to get cards. They did say they may even double the drop rate of cards, because they apparently underestimated that the thing that makes this game unique, the deck building aspect of it, in a Magic the Gathering game, Magic is all about deck building, that people actually want to deck build. Imagine that. But they apparently are going to drop, or up the random drop rate of, you know, additional cards, which is good. It's a very, very good change. I think they did say double it, which is fantastic. So I'm very happy about that, for sure. That being said, there are certain cards that are, again, locked behind things. That there's also a Dimir card, a blue-black card, that you can now get by getting to level 50 in the free battle pass as well, along with the Dimir Assassin class. But, you know, that was potentially problematic. That's nice that they have that at least now. There's some unresponsiveness where, like, I'm hitting spells and nothing's happening. That's all annoying. But certain things, like I said, I was talking earlier, I really want the Benalich Marshall card. Well, how do you get the Benalich Marshall card? Well, you get it through getting reputation by doing dailies in Benalia. Okay, but you can't get it until you get to level 80, which means completing 80 dailies. That's terrible. They need to turn that into, like, where you get tokens, because you get a thing every 10. They need to turn that into, like, you get a token per day, and then you can spend 10 to get from the list. Not that you have to wait until 80 dailies for each of the areas to unlock that card. People want a deck build. People want to get the card. We'll just move the card to, like, the first or second slot, so it's 10 or 20. You know, in general, I can't speak for everyone, but that's the most interesting pickup. So putting it, like, third to last of 100, basically playing 3 months of dailies in order to get it, that's a big mistake in my opinion. Big mistake. And very annoying. To me personally, as someone who really wants that card. I mean, yes, I want all the cards, I want all the factions cards from the area, but I particularly want that one, and I hate that decision. Other issues. Progression is not, like, there's so many things about this game that are just not explained, that I had to have other people on videos explain, or figure out on my own, or I was just watching streamers and they figured it out, or their chat helped them. There's a super long tutorial that tells you nothing, basically. And then, once you get into the game, like, the tutorial just tells you incredibly basic stuff, but nothing useful to anyone who's played a video game before. I'm not trying to be mean, but, like, it's not that great. You know, the information it tells you is very, very basic. And there's a lot of systems in this that need better explanation. Like, I didn't even know dailies were a thing until I accidentally clicked on, like, this guide section, and I'm like, oh, what's this? A daily that you don't unlock until you complete the story in an area. And I'm like, oh, and then I saw Benalich Marshall, and I'm like, great. And then I'm like, oh, I can't get it until I do, you know, 80 dailies. It's weird. So yeah, better explanation of things. More cards available sooner, which they apparently are doing. I think they need to do less locking of certain cards behind things. I really should join up with my team and not just fight these guys. And we're going to get to some positive things in a moment here. Yeah, they definitely need to fix some optimization things. It has improved since initial launch of the open beta, and I do believe they will continue to improve it. They have shown some receptiveness to, you know, making changes, you know, putting the Mirror Assassin at the Mirror card in at the end of the Battle Pass. It's not what I would pick for them to do, but, you know, it's something. It's an improvement for sure. So, you know, they have been receptive to player feedback and making changes. That's not where I wanted that spell to go, but okay. But it's a good sign, for sure. But, you know, with so many negatives, what do I like about this game? And this is going to be the thing I like the most is the deck building. And I like the cards popping up here at the bottom. And I like the randomness. Now, if you are a traditional ARPG player, you're going to feel one of two ways. Either you're going to say, I like the way ARPGs work, I like knowing what skill is in each, you know, hotbar slot, and this randomness is stupid. Okay? Or you'll say, I've played so many ARPGs, and particularly for somebody who likes to build decks, the idea of having to pay attention to that, you know, manage your mana, you know, think about card draw and discard and all these things, really adds a new, interesting wrinkle to this genre. And that's the camp that I'm in. I feel like, you know, not that this is the most innovative, amazing game ever. It's still a free-to-play game with some free-to-play issues. You know, there are issues with the game for sure, as I was talking about earlier. But I really like this aspect of the game. This idea that, you know, we're building our own deck, even if it takes too long to get into the point where you can make, you know, meaningful choices in your deck building. But once you get to that point, it's fun. And then you have to pay attention to what's coming up and manage card draw and whatever. I think a major improvement would be giving all creatures a activated ability, so when you draw the card, When the creature's already out, it's actually worth playing as opposed to just playing it so that you can try to get a different card in that slot. I think that would be a huge improvement. But I like the gameplay of this. I think the gameplay is fun. I find it interesting. I like the deck building. So for me personally, I've been enjoying the heck out of the game. I think the actual gameplay is fun, and to me, gameplay is king. That is, what makes or breaks a game for me. It's not the graphics. It's not, graphics can help, story can help, but for me, it is gameplay. And while I totally get people who are like, this gameplay is stupid, I don't understand, why would you cast? Okay, is it too far away? Yeah, sometimes the unresponsiveness is annoying, where it's like, I don't know why I'm hitting the button, but I'm not casting the spell, and I don't know why. But anyways, I just find that sort of gameplay, the paying attention to the bar, the deck building, feeling like you legitimately have, like, your deck that you built, and you're doing interesting things with. Alright, somebody come in here so I can cast this. Because we want to kill people in the circle. I don't know if... To be fair, I didn't really pay attention to that until I watched the video kind of explaining things, because things aren't necessarily explained well. But the second-to-second gameplay I find satisfying. Now that I've beat all the areas, there isn't really an end game other than just grinding levels and stuff and, more things, making your character more powerful by playing the same missions on harder difficulty levels. But then again, that's kind of a common end game for a lot of games, so it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, And it is, it's this weird thing where it's an open beta, and you can say that, but I don't think that necessarily excuses certain things. There is a cash shop, they're charging for it, and I don't remember where I heard this initially, but the idea that once they're charging money for it, I have the right to judge it is kind of, something that I agree with that sentiment. So they are charging money for it, so I do believe it's fair to criticize, and this game definitely has been getting criticism. Now, I will say, people like Day 9, they hated this game, they played for a few hours and then quit, and they just thought it was awful. I 100% get why he felt that way. I feel like the first 3 to up to maybe even, it depends, but definitely the first 3 hours, but, potentially longer than that, is just bad. It's slow, you don't have any choices, you don't have any abilities, Rawl is annoying, it's just bad. But once you start being able to make choices, once you start being able to put together like an actual build, I think the gameplay is fun. I legitimately do. Again, not everybody's going to enjoy it. Not everybody's going to like the randomness. If you are somebody who plays ARPGs, like Diablo and Path of Exile and even like Torchlight and stuff, you may hate this, you may hate the randomness, you may also, like me, go, hey, this is kind of cool and unique, I like the way this feels. If you are a card player, deck builder, you're more likely to feel that way, probably. But, again, I'm having a good time. It's not the fastest pace, especially the movement. I think the movement speeds could be improved. I think the casting times could be improved. But moment to moment, I'm having fun casting spells. I've played, I started out with just blue because that's all you could initially. I played some Simic, blue, green. I've played some Boros, red, white. Right now I'm playing green, black, and I'm having a good time experimenting with different things and just having a good time in general with the game. So, come on. Okay, make a spider den. That. Let's get some mana back. Maybe we'll actually use our alt in a moment here. Okay, after we cast this, now let's use our alt. Become a golem and beat this dude up, hopefully. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Use my... What do you mean I can't use that here? There we go. Jeez. Took me long enough. So, again, moment to moment, I'm having a good time with it. Yeah, the story's not great. The voice acting's not great. There's so many things I can say are not great. And there are things that are legitimately huge problems, like the very slow, very boring opening to the game. But if the idea of building your own deck and having randomness in the draws and all that sounds like it could be appealing to you, then I get it. And if you're okay with the fact that it's going to take a while until you get to that point, you can actually make some interesting decisions. For that very narrow subset of people, I guess I can recommend the game. Alright, so not bad, not bad. So again, yeah, it's weird. I mean, so basically there's my thoughts. There are many problems with the game. The biggest being the intro being terrible. Not giving any decisions. I don't like things locked behind the paywalls. You have to get to max level on the free-to-play battle pass to get that stuff, that was completely locked behind randomness, which I don't like. But you can ignore the store and have fun. That's a big plus. If the idea of building a deck and doing all that stuff and having the randomness sounds fun to you, then I think the gameplay is fun. I think it is filled with interesting decisions. I don't love the way loot is done, but I think there are still interesting decisions nonetheless, even if I don't particularly like the kind of power score and finding multiples of the same item idea. I do like that even common items can be good, particularly if you get multiple copies of them and build them up. There are positives about it. So, with all the negatives, still having a good time. I'm not having an issue while I may be leveling up my character more slowly than people who are investing money in the game, and I really don't like the monetization the way it works. You don't have to engage with it, and you can still have a good time. And at the end of the day, if you can get past that initial part of it, hey. I think we'll go with Nourish instead of that one that gives lifelink. Give us a second heal just in case we need it. I think 2 heals on hard difficulty right now seems like a good number to have. I kind of like where we're at right now. I'm alright with this. So let's go just real quick. So yeah, that was my thoughts. Now, I'll keep playing and, talk about random stuff, but there in general, if I end up posting this to YouTube, or just kind of my random thoughts on the game. So this guy we can upgrade. Excellent. Good, because we like this guy. He's kind of the build around in my deck right now, I guess you could call it. Getting that buff when creatures die. And this guy gets buffed as well. And that might be the only one. Can't quite upgrade that. We can upgrade this. So 9.6 seconds. We'll get more stuffs and things. So not bad. I even like the progression. I just think that the progression is explained extremely poorly. Like even what you can do. Let's go ahead and do the last story mission. And then, on hard. And then if we decide we want to do some ordeals after that, we can. And because, this may take a while, let's bop around somewhere. Maybe we'll bop near a skirmish. May not complete it in time. Maybe we will. Yeah, so that's that. Here's my thoughts. If if I do end up posting this on YouTube, yeah, go ahead and leave some comments if you have any questions or whatever. I may do a video on, actually explaining some of this stuff, because it isn't explained very well. Or just a more coherent thoughts video or whatever, but I just hadn't streamed in a while. Felt like streaming. I may be continuing to stream this in the future. If I do keep streaming, I'll probably also be doing Outriders when that launches. Super looking forward to that. It launches Wednesday, I think. Yeah, Wednesday. Okay, accept match.